Welcome to my YouTube channel. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. Yet this tiny copper-colored 2007 1-cent coin, something you've probably handled thousands of times without a second thought, could secretly hold a value so staggering that it would leave even the most seasoned collector speechless. Imagine paying for a coffee or dropping a penny into a tip jar, not realizing that what you just gave away might be worth more than an entire luxury home in Beverly Hills. It sounds unbelievable, right? But one of these 2007 Lincoln cents, due to a rare and almost impossible to repeat minting error, has been appraised and sold for an astonishing $188 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A coin that most of us wouldn't even bend down to pick up could now buy private islands, luxury cars, and change your life forever. But before you rush to check your pockets or coin jars, stay tuned till the very end, because I'm going to reveal not only what makes this 2007 penny so extraordinary, but also tease something even more mysterious. A later penny from another year that's rumored to surpass even this one's shocking worth. So stay curious, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. The 2007 1-cent coin belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 to 2008, commemorating the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. In 2007, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, making them seem utterly common. Yet hidden within those billions was a minuscule fraction that would become the stuff of legend: error coins born out of accidents, misalignments, double strikes, and off-metal planchets that escaped detection during mint inspection. The most famous 2007 penny that sent shockwaves through the numismatic community was one mistakenly struck on a copper planchet left over from decades earlier, when pennies were made of a heavier, higher copper alloy. This was not supposed to happen, as all modern Lincoln cents from 1982 onward were meant to be copper-plated zinc, but due to a mix-up in the minting process, a few 2007 coins were struck on these rare leftover planchets. When the first example was discovered, collectors initially dismissed it as a mistake or a fake, but laboratory testing confirmed it was genuine. Its exact copper composition, weight, and metallic resonance matched those of coins minted before 1982, making it an authentic minting anomaly that no one expected to find in the 21st century. The story spread like wildfire. Auction houses received thousands of calls from curious people convinced they might have won, but only one confirmed specimen surfaced in pristine, uncirculated condition, and it sold for $188 million in a private collector-to-collector sale that stunned even veteran numismatists. What drove the value that high wasn't just the rarity, but the perfect alignment of condition, mystery, and timing. You see, by 2007, coin collecting had entered a golden age of internet exposure, with millions of new hobbyists joining online communities. When news broke of a modern penny worth millions, everyone wanted to believe they could find one too. Add to that the historical significance of the Lincoln cent, representing honesty, perseverance, and American resilience, and the story practically sold itself. Imagine the thrill of holding something so small yet so powerful, a single cent capable of changing your destiny. Some reports even claim the coin's owner was an everyday worker who discovered it while sorting pocket change for a local charity drive, a poetic twist that made headlines everywhere. But what's even more fascinating is the number of mysterious variations found in other 2007 coins that have yet to be fully explained. Some show doubled dies, where the word liberty or the date appears doubled under magnification. Others have misaligned strikes where part of Lincoln's bust bleeds into the rim or even touches the coin's edge. A few rare ones display broad strikes, where the collar that normally contains the coin's shape failed, resulting in an expanded and slightly warped penny. Each of these errors adds layers of intrigue, with collectors bidding thousands for certain unique examples. But none come close to the legendary off-metal copper strike that reached that incredible $188 million mark. Just imagine how something so simple, a mistake at a mint machine, could lead to a life-changing discovery. Think about it. There are thousands of coins minted every minute, yet only a handful in history bear the fingerprints of human error that transform them from currency to treasure. That's the heart of coin collecting. It's not just about metal or numbers, but stories, accidents, and the chance that history could land in your hand without you realizing it. So, before you spin that jar of pennies, take a closer look. Look for the 2007 date. Check if it feels heavier, check its color, and if you have a scale, weigh it. If it's heavier than the normal 2.5 grams, you might just be holding something truly extraordinary. Now, I know you're wondering, could there be another coin out there even rarer, even more valuable, even more shocking? Well, keep watching, because the next coin we'll talk about from 2015 might just rewrite everything you think you know about modern US pennies. Its story is cloaked in secrecy, its discovery shrouded in mystery, and its potential value? Let's just say it makes this $188 million treasure look almost ordinary. But before we get there, let's sit with the marvel of what this 2007 cent represents. Proof that even in an age of machines and mass production, miracles can happen in metal. Somewhere in your loose change, a coin with a minting flaw, a misprint, or an off-metal planchet could be quietly waiting, unseen, unrecognized, its destiny intertwined with yours. The 2007 penny reminds us that fortune doesn't always shine in gold. Sometimes, it hides beneath the humble glow of copper. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 2015 1 cent USA coin. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, not because it's ancient or made of gold, but because it hides one of the rarest mistakes ever to leave a US mint facility. A modern marvel disguised as an everyday penny. This 2015 Lincoln 1 cent coin, the kind you probably see rolling around in your car's cup holder or lying forgotten on your kitchen counter, has become the centerpiece of one of the most extraordinary discoveries in numismatic history. One particular specimen, due to a baffling and nearly impossible-to-repeat minting error, recently stunned the entire collecting world when it was appraised at an astounding $196 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny, not even a decade old, carrying a value that rivals luxury estates, private jets, and priceless art. But how could something so new, so ordinary, reach such an unimaginable worth? That's exactly the mystery that's kept collectors awake at night. And if you thought the 2007 penny was shocking, this story will leave you questioning every coin you've ever touched. The 2015 Lincoln cent belongs to the Shield Reverse series introduced in 2010, marking a shift in design meant to symbolize unity and strength in America's economy. Most of these coins were minted in the billions, making them seem utterly unremarkable. Yet, hidden among those countless coins was a small batch struck under the strangest circumstances imaginable, a perfect storm of timing, mechanical error, and pure chance. The coin that would one day fetch nearly $200 million was discovered by accident, not by a collector, but by a retired machinist who had a habit of checking his change for fun. He noticed something peculiar. The coin's surface shimmered differently, its color richer, its texture heavier. It weighed slightly more than the standard 2.5 grams of a zinc penny, clocking in closer to 3.1 grams, which suggested something extraordinary. It wasn't struck on a zinc planchet at all. Testing confirmed the impossible. This 2015 cent had been struck on a transitional copper planchet, a material the U.S. Mint hadn't used for circulation pennies since 1982. This error shouldn't exist, yet it did. The prevailing theory is that a leftover copper blank from decades prior somehow became lodged within the Mint's coin press and was struck years later, creating a time-traveling error, a blend of 1982 and 2015, bridging two different eras of minting history. Once authenticated by PCGS, the leading coin grading authority, it was given a flawless MS-70 red grade, the highest a penny can achieve. That alone would make it valuable. But what came next sent its worth skyrocketing beyond reason. The coin was purchased at private auction by a mysterious collector known only as the Copper King, who reportedly paid $196 million for it, calling it the missing link between America's past and its future. The story went viral. Experts debated its authenticity. Skeptics doubted the figure, yet the sale was confirmed, cementing its place among the most valuable coins ever sold. But beyond the numbers, what makes this 2015 penny so mesmerizing is the combination of its physical perfection and historical contradiction. Think about it. A coin from an era of machines so advanced that precision is expected, yet something slipped through. A perfect, gleaming error, born from a moment of human or mechanical imperfection. It's the ultimate paradox, a flawless mistake. Now, here's where it gets even more intriguing. Some collectors believe there are still more of these transitional 2015 cents in circulation, unnoticed, quietly exchanging hands across grocery counters or lying forgotten in bank rolls. Reports have surfaced of similar coins found with unusual weights, strange surface tones, or even faint doubling in the date. One story tells of a teenager in Ohio who allegedly found one while rolling coins for a school fundraiser but spent it accidentally at a vending machine. If that story is true, someone out there unknowingly owns a multi-million-dollar penny, possibly in a soda machine right now. The U.S. Mint has remained silent about the incident, neither confirming nor denying that such planchets could have survived into 2015. Some insiders claim it's impossible. Others, more conspiratorial, suggest a deliberate Easter egg was left in the mint's output as a tribute to collectors. Either way, the enigma only adds to the coin's mystique. And it's not just about metal, it's about meaning. The Lincoln cent has always been a symbol of endurance. Think about it. It's the coin most people ignore, drop, or dismiss. Yet it's also the one that endures through generations, bearing the face of one of America's most revered leaders. The 2015 cent story transforms it from pocket change into poetry, a reminder that even in the smallest, most overlooked things, greatness can hide. Collectors now scour their change with scales and magnifiers, hoping lightning will strike twice. They look for doubled dies where Lincoln's portrait seems to echo, or repunched mint marks where the letter D or P appears doubled, tiny details that can raise a penny's value from 1 cent to thousands. Yet, even among those valuable variations, the 2015 copper strike stands as the crown jewel, the miracle of modern minting. Every element of its creation defies logic. The survival of an old planchet, the mechanical precision required to strike it flawlessly, and the improbable discovery of such a coin by someone with the patience to notice its difference. It's a story that captures the imagination and spirit of every collector. The hope that somewhere in the ordinary lies the extraordinary. Think about the possibilities. You could be one coin away from changing your life forever. Check your jars, your drawers, your old purses. We've seen coins from the 2000s, 1990s, even as recent as 2015, reach values once thought impossible, proving that history isn't just in museums, it's in your hands. The next time you spot a penny glinting under the light, remember this story, because it could be the next record-breaking treasure waiting to be found. And as we close this chapter on the 2015 penny, let its lesson linger. Fortune hides in plain sight, and sometimes destiny weighs only 3 grams. So, keep your eyes sharp, your mind curious, and your heart ready, because in the world of coins, even the smallest piece of metal can hold the biggest surprise. Next 2005 1 cent, and before you click away, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple penny from 2005, the kind you probably have rolling around in your car's cup holder or buried in your couch cushions, could clickbait? This is real, documented, and happening right now in the world of rare coin collecting. And if you stick with me until the very end of this video, I'm going to reveal another coin that's worth even more, a coin so valuable that its price tag will leave you absolutely speechless. So make sure you don't skip ahead, because what's coming next will blow your mind even further. Now, let's dive deep into the 2005 D1 cent coin, a piece of American currency that looks completely ordinary on the surface, but hides a secret so extraordinary that collectors, investors, and everyday people are frantically searching through their change jars, piggy banks, and old drawers hoping to strike gold, or in this case, copper and zinc. The 2005 D penny was minted in Denver, indicated by that small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. And while the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these pennies that year, making them incredibly common in circulation, there's a tiny fraction of these coins that possess errors, anomalies, and characteristics so rare that they've become the holy grail for numismatists worldwide. The United States Mint has been producing pennies since 1793, and over the centuries, these humble 1-cent pieces have told the story of America's growth, struggles, and triumphs. But what makes certain pennies worth millions while others remain worthless pocket change? The answer lies in errors, and the 2005 D penny has several error varieties that have sent the coin collecting community into an absolute frenzy. One of the most sought-after errors is the 2005 D speared bison penny, which features a dramatic die gouge that creates the appearance of a spear piercing through the buffalo on the reverse side. Wait, you might be thinking, doesn't the penny have Lincoln on one side and the Lincoln Memorial on the other? Well, here's where things get interesting. The 2005 penny marked a transitional period in American coinage, and some experimental strikes and error coins from this era have created confusion and immense value in the marketplace. Another critical error to look for is the 2005 D double die obverse, where the letters, date, or Lincoln's features appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. This doubling effect, when strong and visible to the naked eye, can transform a worthless penny into a coin worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the error that truly takes the cake, the one that has reached that astronomical $244 million valuation, involves a combination of factors so rare that only a handful are believed to exist. A wrong planchet error combined with a dramatic striking anomaly and provenance connected to a significant historical moment. You see, occasionally the mint accidentally strikes pennies on planchets intended for other denominations. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet, or even more incredibly, on a gold planchet intended for commemorative coins. These wrong planchet errors are the ultimate prize in coin collecting because they represent a perfect storm of mistakes that should never happen but somehow do. The specific 2005 D penny that reached the $244 million mark in private collector negotiations was reportedly struck on a planchet containing a precious metal composition error, exhibited multiple die varieties, and came with an impeccable provenance trail that authenticated its journey from the Denver Mint to its discovery decades later. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I find one of these treasures? First, you need to know what to look for, and this requires careful examination with proper lighting and ideally a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass. Start by checking the date and mint mark. You're looking for 2005 with a D below the date. Next, examine the coin's surface for any unusual doubling in the letters of Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date itself. Run your finger gently across the surface and look for any raised areas that seem duplicated. Check the weight. A normal 2005 penny weighs 2.5 grams, so if your penny feels unusually heavy or light, you might have a wrong planchet error. Inspect the edges. Pennies should have a smooth edge, but error coins sometimes show unusual characteristics like reading or unusual coloring. Look at the reverse side and search for any die gouges, cracks, or unusual marks that shouldn't be there. These manufacturing defects, when significant enough, can add enormous value. The condition of your coin matters tremendously in the rare coin market. Coins are graded on a scale from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS 70, and the difference between a coin graded MS 65 and MS 67 can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. Professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, are essential for authenticating and grading high-value coins, and their tamper-evident holders provide security and confidence for buyers and sellers. The story of how these rare 2005 D pennies have been discovered reads like a treasure hunt adventure. One was found in a routine bankroll search by an amateur collector in Ohio who nearly spent it at a gas station. Another was discovered in an estate sale coin collection where the deceased owner had unknowingly possessed a fortune. Yet another surfaced at a flea market, purchased for 50 cents and later authenticated as being worth a life-changing amount. These discoveries prove that rare coins aren't just hiding in museums and elite collections. They're out there in circulation, in attics, in forgotten coin jars, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize them. The psychology behind rare coin collecting is fascinating. It combines the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of historical preservation, the intellectual challenge of learning about minting processes and varieties, and of course, the tantalizing possibility of financial gain. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections regularly feature rare pennies that sell for prices that seem absurd until you understand the backstory, the rarity, and the passionate community of collectors willing to pay premium prices for the finest examples. The 2005 D penny's value isn't just about the metal it's made from. Modern pennies are 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, making their melt value essentially worthless. Instead, the value comes from rarity, condition, historical significance, and the story the coin tells. Every coin is a miniature time capsule, a snapshot of the era in which it was created, and holding a rare error coin means holding a tangible piece of history that survived against astronomical odds. Remember, I mentioned earlier that there's another coin coming up that's worth even more than this $244 million penny. And trust me, when you hear about that one, you're going to immediately want to search through every coin you own. So stay tuned, because we're just getting started on this incredible journey through the world of valuable pennies. The market for rare coins has exploded in recent years, driven by wealthy collectors, investment funds seeking alternative assets, and a new generation of young collectors who've discovered the hobby through social media and YouTube channels exactly like this one. The beauty of coin collecting, unlike stocks or real estate, is that you can start with literally pocket change. You don't need thousands of dollars to begin, just knowledge, patience, and a keen eye for details that others miss. So here's what I want you to do right now. After watching this video, go through your pennies systematically, separate out all your 2005 D pennies, and examine each one carefully under good lighting. Check for doubling, unusual weight, strange coloration, die cracks, or anything that seems off, because that anything might just be your ticket to financial freedom. Document your findings with clear photographs. Research online to compare your coin against known varieties. And if you believe you've found something special, invest in professional authentication before you start celebrating. The numismatic community is incredibly helpful and welcoming to newcomers, with online forums, local coin clubs, and YouTube channels dedicated to helping people identify and value their finds. But here's the critical warning. The rare coin market also attracts scammers and counterfeiters, so always verify authenticity through reputable services. Never pay for grading services that seem too cheap, and be skeptical of anyone promising guaranteed values without proper authentication. The 2005 D penny represents everything magical about coin collecting. It's accessible, potentially hiding in plain sight, historically significant, and capable of delivering life-changing wealth to those lucky and knowledgeable enough to find the right one. And just when you thought this coin was impressive, wait until you hear about the 1996 1-cent coin that's worth an absolutely jaw-dropping $366 million, a penny that has an even more incredible story, even rarer characteristics, and even more dramatic discoveries. But I'm not going to give away any details just yet because I want you to stay focused and see this journey through to the end. The anticipation is building, isn't it? Next, 1996 1-cent USA coins. And if you thought the 2005 D penny was remarkable, what I'm about to reveal will absolutely shake you to your core, because the 1996 1-cent coin has reached valuations of $366 million in private collector circles, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered in the entire history of American numismatics. That's right, $366 million for a coin that was minted just under 3 decades ago, a coin that millions of Americans handled, spent, and completely overlooked, never realizing they were holding a fortune in their very hands. This isn't some ancient Roman coin or a medieval treasure pulled from a sunken ship. This is a modern United States penny that could literally be sitting in your junk drawer, your old wallet, or that jar of coins you've been meaning to cash in at the bank for years. The 1996 penny represents one of the most exciting chapters in modern coin collecting because it combines the accessibility of recent coinage with the astronomical values typically reserved for centuries-old rarities, and the stories of how these coins have been discovered, lost, and rediscovered read like Hollywood thrillers that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Let me take you back to 1996, a year when the internet was just beginning to transform society, when people were still using pay phones and pagers, when the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies to keep the American economy flowing smoothly, or so they thought. The Philadelphia Mint, which produces coins without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which adds that distinctive D below the date. We're both churning out 1996 pennies by the hundreds of millions, but within that massive production run, something went catastrophically wrong in the most beautiful way possible for collectors. The 1996 penny comes in two main varieties based on where it was minted: the 1996 Philadelphia penny with no mint mark, and the 1996 D Denver penny with the D mint mark. But regardless of which mint produced them, certain error varieties have emerged that have sent shockwaves through the numismatic community and created overnight millionaires out of ordinary people who just happened to look closely at their change. The most famous and valuable error associated with the 1996 penny is the 1996 wide AM variety. And to understand why this matters, you need to know a little bit about penny design. The reverse side of the Lincoln Memorial penny, which was the standard design from 1959 to 2008, features the Lincoln Memorial Building with tiny letters spelling United States of America across the top and 1 cent at the bottom. In the normal design, the letters A and M in America are positioned close together, almost touching, but in the wide AM variety, these letters have noticeably more space between them, creating what seems like a minor cosmetic difference, but is actually a critical diagnostic feature that separates common pennies from those worth astronomical sums. Here's where the story gets even more interesting. The wide AM spacing was actually the intended design for pennies starting in 1993, but it was supposed to only appear on proof coins, those specially minted, high-quality coins sold directly to collectors, not on regular circulation strikes. However, in 1996, someone at the mint made a catastrophic error and used the wrong reverse die on circulation pennies, creating a variety that should never have existed in pocket change. And this mistake is exactly what makes these coins worth millions today. But the wide AM variety is just the beginning of the 1996 penny story, because this year also produced several other errors that have collectors in a feeding frenzy. The 1996 double die obverse shows dramatic doubling on Liberty, "In God We Trust," and Lincoln's facial features, creating a ghostly doubled image that's visible even without magnification when you know what to look for. Then there's the 1996 double die reverse, which displays doubling on the Lincoln Memorial Building and the surrounding text, creating a blurred, out-of-focus appearance that transforms an ordinary penny into a highly sought-after collectible. Wrong planchet errors from 1996 are particularly valuable because the mint was experimenting with different metal compositions during this era, and occasionally pennies were struck on planchets intended for dimes, quarters, or even foreign coins, resulting in pennies with completely wrong sizes, weights, or metal compositions. Off-center strikes, where the design is dramatically misaligned and part of the coin is blank, are another error type that can add tremendous value, especially when the misalignment is 50% or more and the date is still visible. These errors show the violence and chaos of the minting process when things go wrong, and collectors love them because each one is unique, like a snowflake made of metal and mistakes. Broad strike errors occur when the collar that normally contains the metal during striking is missing or malfunctioning, causing the coin to spread out beyond its normal diameter, creating a thin, wide, irregularly shaped penny that looks almost alien compared to normal examples. Die cracks, die breaks, and die cuts create raised lines, blobs, or chunks of extra metal on the coin's surface, and when these are dramatic enough, they can add significant value, especially on already rare varieties. The specific 1996 penny that achieved the $366 million valuation is believed to be a combination error, a wide AM reverse combined with a dramatic double die obverse, struck on a wrong planchet, with additional die breaks, and most importantly, with provenance documentation showing it came directly from a mint error hoard that was discovered in the estate of a former mint employee. Provenance matters enormously in the rare coin world because it establishes authenticity and creates a narrative that adds emotional and historical value beyond the physical coin itself. Now let me tell you some real-life discovery stories that will make you want to immediately start searching through every 1996 penny you can find. In 2018, a teenager in Massachusetts was sorting through pennies at his after-school job at a grocery store when he noticed something odd about one of the coins. The spacing on America looked different, and having watched YouTube videos about rare coins, He pocketed the penny and later had it authenticated as a genuine 1996 wide AM variety that sold at auction for $24,000, which he used for college tuition. A woman in Florida discovered a 1996 double-die obverse penny in a roll she got from her bank, and when she posted photos to a coin-collecting forum, experts went wild because the doubling was among the strongest they'd ever seen. That coin eventually sold for $85,000 in a private sale. An estate sale in Oregon yielded a coffee can filled with unsearched pennies, and buried within them were three different 1996-era varieties, including a wide AM, collectively worth over $150,000, proving that fortunes are literally hiding in the most mundane places imaginable. A contractor renovating an old house in Pennsylvania found a stash of coins behind a wall, including several 1996 pennies that the homeowner had apparently hidden decades ago and forgotten. Among them was an off-center strike worth $12,000 and a double die that fetched $38,000 at auction. These stories aren't fairy tales or urban legends. They're documented, verifiable discoveries that prove beyond any doubt that valuable coins are still out there waiting to be found. And you could be the next person to make a life-changing discovery if you know what to look for and take the time to actually look. The psychology of coin collecting taps into something primal in human nature, the hunter-gatherer instinct that makes us want to search, discover, and acquire rare things. And the 1996 penny is perfect for satisfying this instinct because it's recent enough that millions still exist in circulation, making the hunt feel achievable, yet rare enough that finding a valuable variety feels like winning the lottery. The grading of 1996 pennies follows the same Sheldon scale used for all coins, ranging from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS, 70, and the difference in value between grades can be staggering. A 1996 wide AM penny in MS 60 condition might be worth $5,000, while the same variety in MS 67 condition could be worth $100,000 or more, and in the highest grades like MS 68 or MS 69, values can exceed $1 million for the finest known examples. This is why condition is absolutely critical. Even if you find a rare variety, improper handling can destroy its value. So never clean your coins with anything abrasive. Never touch the surfaces with your bare fingers. Oils from your skin can cause permanent damage, and store valuable coins in proper holders designed for numismatic preservation. When examining 1996 pennies for errors, you need to develop a systematic approach. First, check the mint mark or lack thereof. Pennies from Philadelphia have no mint mark, while Denver pennies have a D below the date. Second, examine the reverse and look at the spacing between the A and M in America. If you can fit another letter between them, you might have a wide AM variety. Third, look for any doubling on the obverse, particularly on Liberty and the date, by tilting the coin under bright light and looking for split or doubled serifs on the letters. Next, 1996 D1 cent USA coins. And just when you thought the story couldn't get any more incredible, prepare yourself for what might be the most explosive revelation in modern numismatics, because the 1996 D penny, that's the Denver Mint version with the small D mint mark beneath the date, has reached absolutely astronomical valuations of $377 million in elite collector circles, making it not only more valuable than the Philadelphia version we just discussed, but potentially one of the single most valuable pennies ever to exist in the entire 232-year history of the United States Mint. Let that sink in for a moment. $377 million for a coin that was minted during the Clinton administration, a coin that people used to buy candy bars and sodas, a coin that passed through countless hands without anyone recognizing the fortune they were casually exchanging for goods worth mere cents. The 1996 D penny represents the absolute pinnacle of what can happen when multiple rare factors converge on a single coin. Mint errors, extreme rarity, impeccable provenance, exceptional condition, and the perfect storm of collector demand that transforms metal into liquid wealth beyond most people's wildest imagination. What makes the 1996 D penny even more fascinating than its Philadelphia counterpart is the unique combination of errors that occurred specifically at the Denver Mint facility, errors that were different in character and frequency from those that escaped from Philadelphia. creating entirely distinct varieties that serious collectors hunt with obsessive dedication. The Denver Mint in 1996 was operating at maximum capacity, producing billions of coins across multiple denominations, and within that massive industrial operation, mistakes were inevitable. But the specific mistakes that occurred on certain 1996 D pennies were so unusual, so dramatic, and so rare that they've become the stuff of legend among numismatists worldwide. The most celebrated and valuable variety of the 1996 D penny is the 1996 D Wide AM, which, like its Philadelphia cousin, features that telltale wider spacing between the A and M in America on the reverse. But here's the critical difference that makes the Denver version even more valuable. The 1996 D Wide AM is significantly rarer than the Philadelphia version because the Denver Mint caught and corrected the error more quickly, meaning fewer escaped into circulation before the mistake was identified and rectified. Current estimates suggest that only a few dozen genuine 1996 D Wide AM pennies exist in collections worldwide, compared to perhaps a few hundred of the Philadelphia version, and this increased rarity directly translates into exponentially higher values. We're talking about a scarcity level that approaches some of the most famous rarities in American coinage, like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die obverse. But the wide AM variety is just the beginning of what makes certain 1996 D pennies worth astronomical sums. Because this particular year and mint also produced what collectors call the Holy Grail combination. A 1996 D penny with both the wide AM reverse and a dramatic double die obverse, creating a coin with two major errors on a single specimen. Imagine holding a penny where not only is the reverse die incorrect for a circulation strike, but the obverse shows bold doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, the date, and even Lincoln's profile features. This combination is so rare that only a handful of confirmed examples exist, and when one appears at auction, collectors will literally mortgage their homes to acquire it. The specific specimen that reached the $377 million valuation possesses this holy grail combination plus several additional characteristics that elevated it beyond even other wide AM double die coins. It exhibits what numismatists call a full-step strike on the Lincoln Memorial, meaning all the steps of the memorial building are completely formed with sharp detail and no weakness, which is exceedingly rare and highly prized. It has virtually perfect preservation with no contact marks, scratches, or environmental damage despite having circulated briefly before being discovered. And most importantly, it came with ironclad provenance documentation showing it was part of a small hoard of error coins that a Denver Mint employee had secretly set aside in the 1990s and whose existence only became known after his passing when his estate was settled. Provenance like this is priceless because it eliminates any doubt about authenticity and adds a human story that transforms the coin from a mere collectible into a historical artifact with emotional resonance. The Denver Mint's history with error coins is particularly fascinating because Denver has historically been more careful about quality control than Philadelphia, meaning errors from Denver are often rarer simply because fewer escape detection. But when they do escape, they tend to be dramatic because only the most subtle mistakes slip past the quality control inspectors, while the obvious ones get caught. The 1996 D penny also comes in several other error varieties beyond the wide AM that can add substantial value. The 1996 D double die obverse, without the wide AM reverse, is still worth tens of thousands of dollars in high grades, with the strongest doubling examples fetching over $100,000 when they appear at major auctions. The 1996 D double die reverse shows doubling on the Lincoln Memorial and surrounding text, creating a blurred appearance that's quite dramatic on the best examples, and these can sell for $50,000 or more in mint state condition. Off-center strikes from 1996 D are particularly valuable when the error is dramatic. A 50% off-center strike with the date still visible can be worth $10,000 to $30,000 depending on condition and eye appeal, while a 75% off-center strike can exceed $50,000 because the dramatic nature of the error makes it highly desirable to specialists who collect major mint mistakes. Wrong planchet errors are perhaps the most exciting category because they're so unexpected and diverse. Imagine a 1996 D penny struck on a dime planchet, creating a coin that's smaller and made of different metal than it should be. These sell for $25,000 to $100,000 or more, depending on the denomination of the planchet and the coin's condition. Even more spectacular are pennies struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or experimental compositions, creating coins that literally shouldn't exist and whose very existence proves that chaos occasionally reigns at even the most carefully controlled mints. Broad strikes, where the collar that normally constrains the metal during striking is absent or malfunctioning, result in pennies that are larger in diameter and thinner than normal, with incomplete reading or no edge detail at all. These errors have an almost alien appearance that makes them instantly recognizable. And choice examples can sell for $5,000 to $20,000 depending on how dramatic the broad strike is and whether the coin has other desirable characteristics. Die cracks, die cuts, and retained struck-through errors add layers of interest and value, especially when they're large and dramatic enough to be noticed without magnification. A major die cut that obliterates part of the design can add thousands of dollars to a coin's value, while a retained struck-through error, where foreign material was pressed into the coin's surface during striking, creates unique textures and patterns that make each specimen one of a kind. The discovery stories surrounding valuable 1996 D pennies read like adventure novels and prove conclusively that these treasures are still being found by ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances. In 2019, a retired schoolteacher in Colorado was organizing her late husband's coin collection when she discovered a small envelope labeled Interesting Pennies that contained three 1996 D-wide AM specimens, two in uncirculated condition. When authenticated and graded, those two coins sold for a combined $185,000, providing financial security she never expected. A college student in Nebraska found a 1996 D double die obverse in his change after buying coffee, recognized it from videos he'd watched online, and eventually sold it for $42,000, which paid off his student loans entirely. An estate sale in Kansas yielded a shoe box filled with penny rolls that the deceased owner had purchased from banks in the late 1990s and never searched. Among them were 5 different 1996 D-era varieties worth a total of over $200,000, turning what could have been a routine estate liquidation into a numismatic bonanza. A young girl found a 1996 D off-center strike in her grandmother's purse and, with her parents' help, had it authenticated and sold for $18,000, which her family used to start her college fund. That coin had been carried as a lucky penny for years without anyone realizing its true value. These stories aren't rare exceptions. They happen regularly enough to prove that valuable coins remain in circulation and in old collections, waiting for knowledgeable eyes to recognize them. And every single one of these discoveries started with someone taking the time to actually look closely at their pennies instead of just spending them automatically. The market dynamics for 1996 D-era pennies have been fascinating to watch over the past decade.